With massive layoffs in nearly every sector, weakness in manufacturing, car sales, and housing, and the biggest one-month decline in the trade deficit since the financial crisis, the economic picture is not looking good. Bottom line, now is the time to own gold, which is why the experts at Stansberry Research just stepped forward with a major gold prediction, arguing gold could soar as high as $3,000 by the end of the year, possibly even higher. You can find out why and get instant access to their #1 gold investment today. It's not bullion, an ETF, or a mining stock, but in the past, this gold strategy could have made you nearly 50x your money. Considering how quickly the price of gold has been moving in recent weeks, you don't want to waste any time missing out on the gains these experts believe are in store for this gold stock. To get a copy of his new free report with all the details, simply go to goldmaniareport.com. Again, that's goldmaniareport.com for a free copy of his new report. Hi, this is Daniela Cambone, and welcome back to the summer series here on the Daniela Cambone Show. Things are just getting heated, and we continuing with our great conversations here, including the next summit of the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa nations approaches. Robert Kiyosaki, the author of the best-selling personal finance book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, has reiterated his prognosis for a very long time, but everything may be coming to fruition now that the US dollar is toast. He joins me now. Robert, thank you for joining
Daniela, how are I call people like you, women like you, BBB.
What's that?
Not better business, beautiful brains, and you like business. I love that combination. So,
well, you know I love business, Robert. And man, do we have a lot of ground to cover today for the summer series, because you've just been so vocal. I know a lot of things are just annoying you about what you're hearing in the news. So I want to get your take. Let's start with the summit of the BRICS, August 22nd, the big day. I mean, we don't know what's really going to unfold, but part of their plan is perhaps a reserve currency backed by gold. Your thoughts, is this just, talk or action that we might see?
I think there's a bigger story to tell about the BRICS. It's almost 3/4 of the world's population have signed on. So there was only Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, but the big one is Saudi Arabia and Iran. Now, the reason that's important is they hate America. And if you can get that picture, plus you have the Belt and Road Project, you have most of the world that's not, I'm going to hope you don't get censored with me saying this, but the world that they're going into is a non-Christian world. I'm not being, religious and all this. I'm not being political. I'm saying it's, Muslim, Hindu, Islam, and all this. So this is a very big move. It's because the world, who is not white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant, Christian, like Australia, New Zealand, Canada, England, they're joining up against the Western currency called the dollar. And so the BRICS is not if, it's only when. Jim Rickards says it best. It's not if, it's when they switch to gold. That's what they're saying. I agree with him.
Wow. I mean, you're an advocate of returning to a gold standard. I mean, this is something that you wanted to see here in the U.S., right?
Well, I don't like to tell people. Trump is my really good friend. We wrote 2 books together, but I'm not political. It's a dirty game. So I say to people, I'm not Republican or Democrat, liberal or conservative. I'm a free agent, and I say to people, get back on your own gold standard. Why wait for the government to do it for you?
Yeah.
Just get on your own gold standard. So as you know, Danielle, all of these years, I'm a broken record. Buy gold, buy silver. Not ETFs, buy gold, buy silver, the real stuff.
And I'm going to add, you like Bitcoin too, though.
I like Bitcoin because, we have an enemy in common. It's called the federal government, the Treasury, the Fed, and Wall Street. I don't trust them. If you trust them, save dollars and get yourself a nice bond. I don't trust those guys.
Well, speaking about your good friend President Donald Trump, I was curious, obviously, to get your thoughts on the indictment. I know that you tweeted the current regime in Washington. You said this is from former President Donald Trump. The current regime in Washington is the single most corrupt regime in history. We are living in a two-tiered system of justice, one for the left-wing elites, the other for people like us. Does the indictment just add fuel to the fire for Trump? Will it just propel him higher in the popularity amongst the Republicans?
Yeah, I think the haters are gone. I mean, they've already, they're tired of hating the guy. And will Trump win? I think he will win simply because his base is stronger and stronger and stronger. And he's helped by the biggest campaign manager of all, Hunter Biden. I mean, everything Hunter Biden does makes Trump look good.
Wait, you think he's going to win the whole thing, like the presidency?
Well, let me show you this book here. Yes. I love the guy. I mean, I spent years, working with him. We traveled the world together, speaking to tens of thousands of people. And those were the days when real estate was really hot. So we were talking to tens of thousands of people all over the world, talking about using debt because, as you know, Daniela, the US dollar is debt. It's an IOU. So what capitalists like Trump and I do is we borrow money to acquire hard assets like real estate. And with the proceeds, with the cash flow, the positive cash flow from my real estate, I save gold and silver. I don't save dollars. I'm very much a hard asset person. I own oil wells simply because oil is energy and economies run on energy.
So you kind of beat me to the next question because I was going to ask about Hunter Biden. How much of a shadow, or more than that, really, will it cast for Biden? So for you, is it an end game for Biden that all the skeletons will come out of the closet?
Danielle, politics is such a dirty, dirty game. You don't know. I think the saddest thing is when the Justice Department and the FBI, they seem to be politicized. They seem to be on one side. And that's the end of democracy. When I can't trust the FBI or the DOJ, Department of Justice. Like Merrick Garland called parents terrorists for questioning school boards. And so when you politicize our public agencies, that's fascism. Basically fascism is when a public enterprise becomes a private enterprise. And that's what I'm concerned about.
Do you welcome the freshness that some would say RFK brings to the campaign?
I have tremendous respect for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I have tremendous respect for his father and, John Kennedy. They're brave men, as you know. They gave their lives for it, unfortunately. Very brave men, and that speaks horribly about America. But, when you take down your political leaders with a gun, that's not good. So I have tremendous respect for RFK. I don't know if he has Secret Service protection yet, but I hope he does.
He doesn't. He was denied it. That was his point, because he wasn't considered a major enough of a candidate, even though he has a Kennedy name.
You could have a name like Kiyosaki. I'd still get credit. You have the Kennedy name. You must have put a target on your back.
Well, that's his point. But yeah, he was denied. And by the time this interview airs, who knows if there'll be a reversal of that. But moving on, I want to also talk about, earlier this month, we saw the Fitch Ratings services downgrading of the U.S. credit rating from AAA to AA. You say this, brace for the crash landing. This was kind of the final shoe to drop here. I mean, some people brushing this off, saying whatever, it's just a credit agency, who cares? But you're saying no, this is a big deal, Robert.
What happened is just recently, 2 months ago, I think Biden or the Treasury took the debt ceiling cap off so they could print more money. And as soon as they could do that, stock market took off. This is unsustainable. I mean, this is, it's compounding debt now. It's accelerating debt. And that's why, as you know, Danielle, I'm a big gold and silver guy. I'm a hard asset person and hard oil. I don't buy much paper. I own gold companies and all, stuff like this. but I don't trust the government. It's that simple.
And when you look at the amount of debt and all the issues that America's facing, I mean, I'm sure you saw the viral video where Tucker Carlson basically brings down Mike Pence, saying, we've sent billions to Ukraine, and look at the situation back home here. I mean, I think recently we were talking about you were walking in Phoenix and looking at all these empty storefronts and whatnot. I mean, when is this going to get fixed, Robert?
Well, I don't think it can, Danielle. That's the thing about the 1.8 trillion in debt, new debt in 2 months, when it took 209 months to acquire the first 1.8 trillion. This is the saddest thing, Danielle, because I've been an advocate for financial education. That's why I wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's why Trump and I travel the world, because we're capitalists. We're not Marxists. But the biggest asset in America today is student loan debt. In other words, America is getting rich, and thanks to Barack Obama from Hawaii, Barack Obama basically let student loan debt loose, and now it's our biggest asset of America. In other words, America is trying to survive on the backs of our college kids. If that's not criminal, I don't know what is. It just feels unconscionable to me. That's what I'm saying.
And Biden forgiving 39 billion of the debt.
Yeah, but that's a drop in the bucket. You know what I mean? It's. I think our student loan debt is 1.6 trillion.
Do you think education should be free in the United States?
No, I mean, on the other side of it, you got what you pay for, is what I'm saying. And I'm coming up with a new book. It'll be out. It takes a little while. But the reason that capitalists lose and Marxists win, okay, and most academics are Marxists. In 1965, I read this book here, The Communist Manifesto. And I left little sleepy Hawaii, and I went to school in New York City, and I woke up, Everything's not hula lands and flower lays and pineapple. But when I was in school in New York, my economics teacher had me read this book here. And just recently, 39 professors at Arizona State University, just a few months ago, attacked me because I was on stage with Dennis Prager, my doctor, Dr. Radha Gopalan, who's both a doctor of acupuncture and a cardiac surgeon. Dennis Prager spoke on happiness, and I spoke on wealth. And the 39 professors came after us. So they protested. They threatened students that they would lose their grades if they came to see us. What is our title was Health, Wealth, and Happiness. So Daniela, you know how I am with my mouth. I put my Marine Corps, I wear my Marine Corps jacket. I stood on stage with this and I said, all you school teachers out there, you should read this book to find out who you are. Well, that just infuriated them, so they came after us even worse.
While you were saying that story about, when you moved to New York City, I was thinking, what would you, if I could bring you back to that Robert in New York City, what would you tell him?
Well, I don't know if we can tell anybody anything these days, Daniela. It's really, I still keep saying to people, put yourself on your own gold standard or silver. I have a lot of silver, eagles and coins, because I want to be off the grid. I want to be off the Treasury and Fed and Wall Street. I want nothing to do with those criminals. Do you know what I mean? As Warren Buffett's, somebody just asked, Charles Payne asked me on Fox. He says, what about Wall Street saying, I said, Warren Buffett said it best, never ask an insurance salesman if he should buy more insurance. And it's because the Wall Street Journal is saying everything is good in S&P land. I'm going, how would you believe those guys? So that's my concern.
Yeah, you want to be unbankable.
Yeah, I want to be able that I can spend my money freely. So,
yeah. So
I store my money in different places throughout the world, because if I have to flee, I'm going to flee.
Well, because how terrifying is it for you, the thought of a central bank digital currency and governments pushing us towards cashless systems?
Is that Marxism or what? It's Marxism at its finest. And I recommend people read this book because it was written in 1848. It's only about 50 pages, but it's influenced more people throughout the world it's also been the reason over 100 million deaths. More people die at the hands of communists than capitalists. If you understand that one, and like I flew this in Vietnam here, it's a helicopter gunship, and that's a story I told you before. I flew behind enemy lines just to go buy some gold, because that was in '72, and Nixon had taken the dollar off the gold standard, and gold was $35 an ounce, and it was now pushing $50 an ounce. And so I didn't know what gold was. Americans don't know, because 1933, I think Roosevelt made it illegal. So I flew behind enemy lines. I walk up to this little Vietnamese woman, the Vietnamese saying, these two Americans are going to die today because there's Viet Cong everywhere. And I walk up to the little Vietnamese woman with red teeth, and I parked this not too far from her little shack. And I said, I want to buy gold for $35. And she broke out in this big red smile and said, spot. I went, what? Spot. I went, I have a spot on my shirt or something? And Daniela, that woman changed my life.
I love that story.
Isn't that a good story? Yeah, because I realized
I would have paid to be a fly on the wall with that moment. You arriving in this chopper.
Yeah. So here's my co-pilot and I nudging each other. We're two college graduates, and we had no idea what she was talking about. I was trying to get gold down from 50 to maybe 42, and she goes, spot. I had no idea what she was talking about. So when people say, who is your best teacher in the world? I'll say a little Vietnamese woman with red teeth, kicking my butt.
God bless her.
This is money. This is money. This is toilet paper.
There you go, folks. Robert, it is our summer series, so I'm going to leave you the last word because, I like the summer series because I feel it resets people for September. We kind of let our guard down in the summer, but we have to be prepared, as you say, whether it's creating your own gold standard, whatever. So final word to you as, enjoy the rest of your summer, but let's not fall asleep at the wheel here, folks, right?
Right, exactly. If I could plug my new, I don't know when it's coming out. I'm still working on it. It's called Teaching Capitalism. We're all educated by Marxists. Remember, I'm an academy graduate, I only was educated by military people, but I see the world differently. And the reason I have my board game back here, cash flow, is this is your biggest asset. The left ear and your right ear contains your brain. And the question is, who's putting information into your greatest asset? Is it a capitalist or a Marxist? And since most teachers, like my poor dad, are Marxists, they believe in labor unions and taxes and all those other things. I don't. So the thing here is this: as we approach the new year, ask yourself, what are we teaching our kids? That is the most important thing. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, liberal or conservative. The question is, what are we teaching our kids? And that's why Merrick Garland, the head of the DOJ, Department of Justice, called parents terrorists, because they're wondering, why are we studying critical race theory? Why are we studying gender transitions? Why are we studying that stuff when we should be teaching kids about money and capitalism in a free world? So what are we teaching our kids is the thing I'll leave people with as we enjoy our summer vacations.
On a nice light note, Robert Kiyosaki, I always love speaking with you. I'm going to come see you in Phoenix soon, okay?
Yeah, when it's cooler.
Yeah, I think I'm going to wait. I think I'll wait for that. Yeah. Thank you, Robert Kiyosaki. And thank
you Daniela.
I love the energy. And thank you all for watching. We'll have much more incredible content coming your way, so be sure to stay tuned to the Daniela Cambone Show and sign up, danielacambone.com. That's it for me. Thanks for watching.
Opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the contributor and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Stansberry Research, its parent company, or affiliates.